Bienvenidos al capítulo 2 de la serie de entrevistas de Haidong Gumdo a través del mundo. Esta vez nos toca el siguiente país y acabamos con España, acabamos con la madre patria, como le dicen unos de acá de México, y empezamos con un país un poco lejos de España, con un Haidong Gumdo muy antiguo, aún no se ha esparcido como se ha esparcido en otros países, y ese país es Canadá. La entrevista está en inglés y el maestro que nos acompañó en esta ocasión fue el maestro Brad Bonnyman, entonces de Calgary. Esperemos sea de tu agrado y pues nos vemos en la entrevista. We are live. So, welcome people to the chapter 2 of Haidong Gumdo Across the World. This time is on English, so our English speakers might get the full scoop and the first scoop also. And to open up this new chapter, it's with me, Master Brad Bonnyman from Canada, Calgary, Canada. He's a good friend of mine. We actually next year it's our 10-year anniversary of Haidong Gumdo, brotherly love. Please introduce yourself so people can know you. I know you have a big fan base here in Mexico, so it's going to be pretty good.
Good. My name is Brad Bonnyman. From Canada, originally the East Coast, Nova Scotia. I currently live in Calgary, and I have a school here called Calgary Haidong Gumdo. 45 years old, and I've been training since 2002.
So, what rank are you?
Oh, third Dan.
Okay. Do you practice any other martial arts?
No. Gumdo is the only one that I practice.
Okay, that's new. Actually, all of the masters from Spain, most of them, only Master Yuyong, but all of them had some Taekwondo or Hapkido background. So that's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I find that's a lot too. Like some of the American masters I've talked to at tournaments, and even some of the Canadian masters when I first started training, was a lot of a different background. Either was Taekwondo or Hapkido or some other art, and then they branched out into Haidong Gumdo afterwards. But yeah, this is the one I started with and one I stuck with.
The good one. Okay.
All good. They're all good.
Yeah. So the main curse of the interview is to find out, how did you start in Canada? How did you find out? How did you find out about it? Any stories you can relate about the first trainings? I know Haidong Gumdo started spreading worldwide around 2001, 2000 or 1999. So you being that old, quotes, since you start training, not old as old, the information you have is going to be pretty elite. Not a lot of people know about it. I think not a lot of people will be able to share the story. So please do share. How do you find out about Haidong Gumdo? Did you walk by and saw the school, or did you saw an ad online? How was it?
Well, I'm Canadian, so I didn't steal any flyers. I left them on the pole. No, capital of Canada. I had graduated university, and I had friends in the city, but as a lot of it, my daily life was just work and home. I was looking for something, to get out and get doing something. I'm not really a lazy person when it comes to exercising. So the way I do it is with groups. So in high school, it was track and field. University was teaching swim lessons, lifeguarding, that sort of stuff. So when I moved to Ottawa, it was what wasn't much really that I was doing in terms of physical activity. I could go for runs, but in terms of a group setting. So I'd done some Taekwondo when I was a teenager, maybe for 6 or 8 months. That was YMCA, your parents throw you into it. And, as a kid, it sounds cool, but once you find out that it's work, it's not as cool. So yeah, as a teenager and as a young stupid kid, I didn't stick with that at all. But when I graduated university and I was living in Ottawa, I was looking for something. So I thought, hey, I'll start a martial art. Go back to Taekwondo. And I tried a school that was near where I was living, and the feel of it was very institutional. It was lines of students. It was payment plans and different program settings, and it wasn't what I was looking for. So I saw a flyer for a martial arts gala, and I didn't steal it. And I went and I checked it out, and they had all kinds of different. It was like a huge festival fair that was in this auditorium, and all people demonstrating. So there was kung fu, praying mantis style, and there was taekwondo, of course, and there was karate, judo, and there's this one Haidong Gumdo. And the demo was pretty cool. It was unlike any of the other ones. It's tough to think back to what it was so long ago. It was your basic students up front and doing basic cuts and a couple gum up and some kyokum. And then there was a throw cut where the student was off stage and threw, I think it was an apple, or I think it was an apple, threw it at the instructor, and he cut it, but it went off one side, and then the other half kind of went on his face. It kind of went down, but the composure was very kind of Akira Kurosawa movie style. It was like the sword cut was still like there, and it's like, and then just chuck-ummed, and it just slid right off, and I was like, that was kind of cool. So yeah, that was funny, but it was kind of like, yeah, sword. I can learn how to use a sword. I can get a real sword.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, try that out. So a couple weeks later, I went by the dojang and talked with the master, Chris Barr, and he had me try out for a class, and the students were all like super nice, and we went out to, I think, grab coffee or something afterwards, just the students, and I was like, my first day and talking with these guys, black belts and color belts, and it was just really cool. It was just the environment and the group of students and everything was really cool. My hands were shaking, of course, because gripping a mokum your first time, you're like super tight.
Yeah, your shoulders.
And doing sotos. What's that?
Your shoulders also, I bet that they were like aching.
Oh yeah. Next morning was kind of like the shoulders and the lower legs, because he threw me like right in the deep end. It was the kimase and sotose and teirose, and oh man, I've done lunges for training for track and field and stuff, but it's a different style because you're constantly moving. But with sotose, he could just leave us there in a couple minutes and be talking about something, and he'd often do that. We'd be doing cuts in sotose, and if he'd go off and he'd talk to one student and correct this and that, and a couple minutes later, you'd still be there quaking and quivering. He'd glance around, okay, and then glance back to the student, start working again. So it was kind of like that game, red light, green light.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys play that. Yeah, same thing. You look around, red light, okay, green light, see if anyone moves. So yeah, it was a good atmosphere, and again, for the first couple of weeks, you're not really sure. You're in the honeymoon phase. You're thinking, yeah, awesome, but yeah, the work was great. My body was feeling stronger and adapting to the forms and stances, and yeah, just watching the black belt forms and all the work, and of course the training with the Jingong, watching that as a color belt was like, yeah, I want to be able to do that. So yeah, here I am.
So how many students were they, and how many are still training? That's a question I couldn't ask the other masters because they were they took part of a seminar that was only for instructors. But it's nice to know that some of us, me included, started as just students with no martial arts background. And it's funny, like I always wonder how many how many do still train? How many are they still active? From your class?
Yeah, so when I started, probably maybe 12 or 14, and then I think at one point our highest class was maybe 25 or 20. Like it bounced up and down all over the place. Of those students total throughout the years, I remember there's at least 3 that are still training. One with Brian in Halifax, Chris Gazella. He was a black belt when I started training, and he went off to Korea and did some training there with Taekyon and all kinds of other different arts. And he'd be a good guy to interview too, because his actual Canadian learning Haidong Gumdo, going over to Korea, living in Korea, and the other martial arts that he did are actually kind of cool. And he came back to Canada, and he still trains, I think, in Halifax School. And then Kathy and myself. So yeah, 3 of us.
Wow, that's more than here in my city and a couple of other cities. It's like, only me. Yeah, only me, because I'm teaching and I have to keep training. So
yeah, it's tough because a lot of people get the black belt, and that's in Western ideology, the black belt, like, yeah, you've made it. That's, you know, you're a black belt. That's like the end of the road. And it's a cliche, but you get your black belt. I mean, you just kind of, you got the basics.
We call it in my school the black belt syndrome, where they get the black belt and they drop out. And we've been fighting that a lot, like telling them, oh, no, black belt means beginner. And I usually when they bow to my black belts, I tell them, bow to the beginners. And then a couple of them, which are the color belts, say, so they are the beginners and they're black belts. And I go like, yes, long way to go. Keep training. So,
that must be great seeing the expression on their face.
Yeah, like, what? Yeah, you're training with a stick and they're training with an aluminum blade. None of you are training with a light blade. So yes, you're beginners.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you started training in 2001, you said, 2002?
2002, yeah.
And how was the journey to become a black belt? Like, how long did it take? I know each association takes different time to get black belts, and I know some of us, like the old people that start training in 2001, 2002, 2004, we got a long curriculum. So how long was it for you?
For me, it was, we had my master, Chris Barr, he was a younger fella, so maybe 23, 24. He's working on his master's in Ottawa after he come back from Korea. So he had a really strong physical drive. Like he really drilled us. And it was, classes there were like 6 days a week.
Wow.
And when I first signed up, it was probably 3 or 4. And then once I got like better conditioning and whatnot, I started going for more and more. So it was probably at least 4, maybe 5 classes a week, and a black belt in about a year. Curriculum at that point was Kyokum. So that was the short form step. And it was like 12 of those. And then it was Sungsu's 1 through 12, and then Shimsung. It's for your black belt. As well as paper cutting and candle cuts and board break.
Nice.
Yep.
So how did it change when you were just a student? What made the difference? Like, what made you click and start saying, I want to teach? Yeah.
Well, the teaching experience came before the want to teach. So as I was progressing, I was kind of told, okay, you're taking this class. I got an appointment. Okay, sir, I'll take this class. What am I gonna do? I'm teaching a class. And I was maybe first Dan of maybe 2 years or so. So I knew my stuff, but teaching is completely different from doing. At first bit of teaching was really just kind of repeating what I had heard my master say and the forms that he had said and comments he would say. So I just basically, and back out at the students, trying to be an instructor. So I was kind of like a kid. You're a child, you want to be a police officer, you play dress up and you pretend you're a police officer, cops and robbers, or firefighter, you pretend to put out fires. So for the first bit of teaching was kind of like that. And it was good because I had him there to kind of like, no, what are you saying there? That's wrong, don't do that. But the real teaching actually came organically. I'd moved to Calgary in 2007 for work and didn't have a school, wasn't training anywhere. And I was just in baseball fields, on weekends, training, keeping stuff up to date and whatnot, and came across a student randomly with Gumdo uniform. He was heading to class, tracked him down. Where are you, what, Gumdo? Calgary? Because there was nothing on the web. There was no schools. I checked. And so I got the address of where this guy was training. It was a Korean master who was doing it just as a kids camp for the summer in Calgary for the local community. So Kath and I show up, and we, sit down there with all like 8-year-olds and 5-year-olds, and there's Kathy and me. Yeah. So I'm 6 foot, and of course, sitting down, I'm still heads and shoulders above these kids. So just looking around, yeah, a little bit out of place, but it was a space to train under someone who's experienced. So that was great. And then he eventually retired from that, and I just took over the school. And I changed it to mostly adults or older teens. So and I just started teaching basically because I wanted to keep a space to train. So I wanted to have a space where Kath and I could still train. And, so just organically, I guess it wasn't a conscious decision like, yeah, I've got to be an instructor, I have to go do this. It's like, no, I want to keep training for me. And by that, I mean, I need to keep the school going. So let's be an instructor and instruct. So
actually, that's not far-fetched. Master Instructor Kino, to actually say it correctly, he's the master of Scotland, and he moved to Scotland, and he had the same issue. Like, okay, I want to train, but training alone is not cutting it. So he started taking students, like friend of them, of them. It's him and his wife, and then boom, the class started. He started teaching. He has gone to Olympia. I think it was 2017 as a Scotland. So then Master Han told him, okay, you are now the Scotland school and Scotland Master. Baptized as Hugh Doyen, same as Frank Dominant in France. So it's like, or like you say, organic, which is pretty good.
Yeah, like I had to go through the formal steps afterwards. Like once I had a school, like a club, like a training, like I was training together, had to contact Master Chung in Moncton at the Canadian headquarters and say, sir, I've been teaching out here, is that okay? He's like, yeah, sure. You should think about joining the instructor's program or the master's program though. So, you can have your formal school certificate and everything like that. So I think it was a few months after that conversation that we started that certification. So yeah, but the training was happening before. Yeah.
So what have been the main challenges? I love the coffee mug. What have been the main challenges as with your school in Calgary, starting like there is nobody else doing Haidong Gumdo, so I know there's some challenges like training challenges, school location challenges, tournament challenges. So which have been like the hardest ones you had to overcome?
The hardest is just how far away we are from everything else. Canada is a big country with a small population, and we're spread out. Like we have big cities. We have Toronto, we have Montreal. They're probably two of the closest, largest cities, but they're still a 2-hour drive away from each other. So I mean, as well how far you are from Mexico City. So you're kind of in your own
bubble,
not by yourself, but geographically you're by yourself. So with me, the closest school we have is in Saskatchewan. And then the next one after that, I believe, is in Toronto, and then Halifax. And for me to drive to Toronto would be probably 2 days of driving. Flying to Toronto is a good 2 hours. Halifax, 4 hours. So getting all of us together as an association is very, very difficult. So having like a national seminar, having anything like a national tournament is hugely expensive for even the individual competitors, let alone the organizer trying to get everything set up. Cutting so lucky, but with us, we compromise. We go with a type of tree called poplar, which grows pretty fast in places like Vancouver or Nova Scotia. There's lots of rain and precipitation. But for Calgary and out west here, it's actually really relatively dry. So you get pop and all gnarled up with knots. So it's a challenge to get things to cut and to practice on. Yeah. So with that, it's we're limited in terms of what practicing we can do. So hard target cutting like bamboo is very frequent. We do it maybe once a year. Things like paper cutting and candles we do more frequently because you can get a lot more of the material. Technique wise is probably the next biggest challenge. So for me, myself, to train, I have to go to either Saskatchewan to the next closest master. And that's about a 6-hour drive away, or to a competition or a seminar, or go to Moncton to train under Master Chung or Master Park. So that's again, you can't do that every month. You can maybe do it once a year or once every other year. So it's probably those two things, but they all boil down to how far we are from everyone else.
Okay. Just to get like a good idea, like a good idea. How far, like distance-wise, or where is it that you are and Master Chung and Master Park are? Like you're on East Coast, you said, but like Middle East Coast.
Yeah. So I'm close to the Rocky Mountains. Okay. So that's the western part of Canada. Oh, and yeah. Master Chung is close to the Atlantic Ocean, the eastern part of Canada.
Damn. Is Master Park still active? That's just like a question I have.
Yes, he's actually running the day-to-day at the headquarters school in Moncton. Yeah. So I think Master Chung brought him over. He was looking for someone to take over the main Gumdo instruction and I think some of the Taekwondo. I think about 5 or 6 years ago. And Master Park moved over with his family, and now they're doing most of the teaching there.
Nice.
Or he is, sorry, yeah. Really, really nice guy.
So the next question, which is one I really like. You've been active lately a lot, going to tournaments and seminars and stuff. So please tell us, like, how many tournaments have you been on? Which ones do you recall as the best of them? I know all of them are pretty good. All of them are like the best. But I know in some, you have better memories. So please share with us which tournaments you have been on, any funny stories about them, anything that comes to your mind that is relevant to everybody listening that they might relate or they might find it funny.
See, the only Korean competition I've been to, I'd love to go back, but the only one I've been to, the 2012, the World Haidong Gumdo Championships. I think it was the last one before it became Olympia. Yeah. Then the 2011 Utah Pan Am Championships. Yeah, where I met a certain Master Jose. See if that's both the Las Vegas Pan Ams. Cat. Both the Las Vegas Pan Ams, and let's see. It's tough thinking these all at once. Yeah, Mexico City. That was 2017, 18, 19.
Yeah.
You guys love your competitions every year.
Yeah, this year we are actually quite sad, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to go to one that was the European Olympia. I want to go to that sometime. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, so the Las Vegas Pan Ams, Mexico City, the last 3, Utah 2011, Worlds in 2012. Yeah, that's about it. Funny stories. It involves actually Master Brian Gim. Do you remember him?
Yes, tall Korean.
Yeah, really tall. We were, it was 2011, I think, and it was our first like major like international competition. We've been to the Utah ones, but this is our first like international one, and it was in Korea. And so of course we were just super excited. Kathy and I went along with I think 3 other students from the Toronto Dojang, Master Kim's. So we had, I think it was the night before the opening ceremony, and we're just walking, think back from the convenience store with Master Kim and some of their students, and he turns to us, me and Kathy, and says, "You guys have your white uniforms, right? You're second dan? Yeah, we do. Yes, sir." So okay, you're doing Yedo tomorrow, the opening ceremonies.
What?
So yeah, yes, sir. Yes, we are. Okay, sir. So, and he of course said his other student Scott, same thing. He has white Dan uniform, so he's you're going to do Yedo in the opening ceremonies too. So we were freaking out inside, like, no, we aren't. So yeah, we were practicing that night till like I don't know 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and then got up in the morning and practicing with Scott again, like in the little pickup area where the buses come. You know, there's 3 foreigners in a parking lot in Korea, you know, practicing furiously their forms. And I think Master Gim came over and said, well, you guys should, settle down. You don't need to practice as much. You're just going to be standing there. Wait, what? Well, don't we have to do Yedo, sir? I think my voice had cracked. Yedo, sir? And I said, oh, yeah, no. Yedo, not the sword form. Yedo, like you're holding the swords up for the opening procession. Yes, we will.
Yes, sir.
It's like getting told your exam is tomorrow and you wake up like, oh no, that's next week. Yeah, okay. Oh man, we were just, yeah. We can stand there, sir. Absolutely. We'll hold that sword. Yes, whatever you need.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Whatever you say.
Absolutely. I don't have to perform in front of a couple thousand people. Absolutely, I will do that. I'll just stand there.
Okay, we're coming to the end of the interview, and this is a question that I really want to ask you personally. What's in it for you in the future, like 2021 or 2022? What are some of the goals you have, tournaments you want to attend? I know you're testing for them. It actually got postponed because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
But you can tell us that, and what else? Like, what are you aiming for? Do you want to go to Korea again, to Mexico, go to another tournament, whatever it's in your mind?
Yeah, well, fourth Dan, that was supposed to be this summer, but postponed obviously. So next year, hopefully, cross fingers, that can get done. But it'll be more competitions. What I found with Haidong Gumdo, I don't know what it is, but the people that you meet are pretty awesome. Again, martial arts in general, you meet usually pretty good people, but I've found in some of the tournaments I've gone to, some of the best people that I've met and close friends have been there. So I would like to encourage my students to try to come to some, whether it's Mexico, Las Vegas, Korea, all of them. Any ones that are open to international students, I find have really good atmosphere. Even the local ones, like the regional ones. But yeah, it's been really good meeting people from France and Italy and Spain, Mexico, all over the States. It's been really, really good, and it just has that connection that I think helps the organization to grow. And being sort of a solo school or entity, you can train, but you don't have that sort of family bond or building experience you do with a larger community. So yeah, that would be the biggest goal for next couple of years.
That's good. What you just said about the family, that's actually you mentioned it in the interview. That's what hooked you up. That after the first class, you went to have a cup of coffee with the guys or girls, I don't know. So yeah. It's usually like, I'm pretty on point with what you just said. Haidong Gumdo is more than the martial art. I know we all do the martial art, but the ties and the community that forged and formed around the martial arts is what's keep us coming and training and actually improving ourselves. And it's not just us. Master Yu Yong also mentioned it in her interview that she loves the competitions, not for the competition itself, but for the people she meets there and the family bonds she creates and how much she enjoys herself talking and sharing stories, like catching up. That's what I told last year my wife, like, hey, I'm going to Korea to compete. And besides the competition, which was pretty good competition, I had to catch up with all the people from around the world and see all the masters that we have grown together. Like Haidong Gumdo is, since it hasn't expanded as big as other martial arts or as irregular, we have a big, strong foundation, family foundation. And that's something I cherish a lot, and I hear you do too.
Yeah. Like you put a bunch of random people in a room and just sit them at a table, it's awkward. Who starts the conversation, who's talking about which and what. But having a common interest, in this case, Haidong Gumdo, you have that thing in common that starts the conversation and talking. You're not as nervous talking to someone. You can walk up, hey, I liked your form, or that's really cool, set of martial arts shoes. Where'd you get those from? And oh, hi, I'm from Canada. Where are you from? Or it's just something that gets started, and then everything else forms from there. And it is true. Like You can have one person train by themselves solo. Very few people can do that and keep doing it for years and years and years. When you have those connects, those friendships that you have that keep you sort of connected and keep things growing.
Can you hear me? I think I kind of froze.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Thank you for.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I never told you the story. If you want to hear one more.
Yeah, sure.
My first stand test. Guess who was there?
Master Chong.
President Kim.
Oh.
President Kim.
Young.
Yeah, we were at a school that was opening just outside of Toronto, and I think this was 2003 or late 2002. And I think this was Master Chung had invited President Kim over to show him around and introduce him, and I guess a work trip or something like that. But yeah, so it was my first stand. So of course we traveled from Ottawa to Toronto, which is hour and a half, no, 2-hour drive. We stayed over at one of our other students' places there in the city. Didn't sleep a wink that night. Totally sleep deprived. Next morning, up to the test, boom, medal. Yeah, it was nerve-wracking, man. I mean, to test right in front of like the president. This is your first. It's all downhill from there.
That's actually a good story. Like I know some in Mexico have actually a story like that. I think Master Christian also did a test in front of President Kim. I haven't had the honor or the nerve-wracking honor.
There.
It's a privilege. Only a few of you had. Like I know, I think Master Marshall also had the privilege of performing at the eyes of President Kim.
Yeah.
Okay, so any last message you want to share to anybody hearing us that randomly spots the video on YouTube and are actually interested in Haidong Gumdo in Canada? Also, the information to find you and train under you. So, any message and anything you want to share or add, because we're closing the interview in a few minutes.
Yeah. For information on our school, you can go to Facebook. Everything's on there. Calgary Gumdo, Calgary Haidong Gumdo, and we have our website, calgarygumdo.com. That's just basic content for information notes. So Facebook is where you can get most of our up-to-date live stuff. For Canada, we've got dojangs in Saskatchewan, Master Ron Roy, and then club in Toronto, Queen's University, Haidong Gumdo. There's also in Moncton Haidong Gumdo with Grandmaster Chung, and in Halifax we've got Master Brian Gim, and then that's about it. Canada 5. It's not a competition. Yeah, and last comment would be just subscribe to the channel. Mexican Bushi.
That's my line.
It's Gumdo News.
Well,
click like and subscribe. Bell.
Do a cut in the subscribe button. Okay. First of all, thank you for your time.
Here's your thumbnail.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.